Hello to all you are here. Please tell me how you are listening to me. Are you hearing me okay? Okay, let's start our flight. Okay, here we are with leading edge simulations DC3 DC3 version 2. Let's zoom into the aircraft now. We're here in Mykonos airport in Greece. And here we're outside the aircraft. Now a few things. First of all, sorry for my English. It's a bit rusty. I'll try my best so you can understand me. Also about the aircraft, we're almost done at this point. There's a few things to finish and we're heading for release as soon as possible. Now, another thing I want to point out is that I don't have a very strong PC, so I have turned down a bit graphic settings, so streaming to look okay. I think it looks smooth. I think, is that right? Okay, here we are cold and dark in the aircraft, and let's start something. Is it looking blurry? Okay, I'll start with an overview of the aircraft and our main window you're gonna use for a lot of things. So of course DC3 uses Gizmo, and you can disable the Gizmo for our aircraft, the panel, the pop-out panel on the right, because we have our own menus. So here we start with the DC3 settings window. Here we have an overview of the aircraft. On the left we have the icon of the current livery we have loaded, and here's the list of the rest available liveries. Of course we have the airframe concept here, which every livery is a different airframe. So when you change the livery, you actually change the airframe you're flying. For example, every airframe has its own maintenance record, presets, etc. On the right side, we have some data about the specific aircraft. This is the operator. For this specific airframe is the Duggy Foundation, the tail number, and a short description about the story of the specific aircraft. Total airframe hours, the aircraft version, here some credits, and here you can click this button and open your default browser and show you the online manual of the aircraft. On the second tab here we have the maintenance. Here again we have the total airframe hours, and here we have the various checks, 1, 2, 3, etc., and how many days remaining for the check, how many hours for each check. Again, engine oil and filter change, hours and time, spark plugs, and engine overall. On the right side here we have hydraulic fluid, engine oils, and we have here depending on the maintenance, we have the engine health status for each engine, and on the bottom we have the batteries charge. So well, because I use this aircraft a lot during development and I was just on the ground with the battery on, the battery has been discharged. We have another window, we have the systems window here. Of course, you see here that everything is off now. The battery is only 13 volts. Also, we have the hydraulic system here. So here the battery is discharged. So we can click this button here to recharge the batteries, or if you want to start the aircraft, we have to use the GPU. We're going to see in the next page. Here are the options. This is the, let me move it a bit. This is the modern aircraft with a modern cockpit, and when we say modern, I mean not the old 1940s instruments, but more modern instruments and autopilot, etc. and new radios. So here we see that we have standard the Bendix King KP140 autopilot with altitude pre-select. Below we have some hardware options. If you want from ground controls, you can enable differential throttle or differential braking. This works by using the how you're using with your joystick, with your controls, and this is for people who don't have specialized, who don't have, for example, two throttles or rudder pedals with brakes, to use differential braking, because this aircraft tends with differential braking or throttles, does not, the tail wheel when unlocked is free castering, so you just control everything with brakes or throttle. If you have both, you just click to disable them. Here we have the aircraft has a few built-in failures, depending on how you use the aircraft, if you exceed some limits. But also, if you want to enable explains random failures, you can check it here. And of course, the mean time between failures, it depends on the maintenance situation of the aircraft. On the right side, we have the ground services. Of course, we have we started cold and dark, and in this case, chokes are set automatically. But you can manipulate them from here. When shocks are set, the aircraft will not move even if you release parking brake. Have that in mind. Here is a trims pop-up, as you see here. If you disable this, you will not have it. When you manipulate the trim, will change will show up for a few seconds and then go out. The same with the flaps. Next, if you go in the aircraft, we have the option to show the tablet here. It shows the AVITAB, excuse me, and a few other data like the position, GPS, speed, altitude, track. And of course, this tablet has own powered battery, and now it's full. But you see that as you use it, will recharge. Every time you start a flight, automatically recharges the battery. Here we have the options for the GPS we're gonna use. The default option is the explains GNS 530. Of course, if you have Reality XP, you can enable it from the menu, or switch to GTN 650. Here I don't have Reality's GPS, so we'll stick with the explains. Here we have the panel options, how to start the aircraft. We have cold and dark, powered, which is only the electric systems turned on. After start, with the engines running and ready for before taxi checklist, and persistent, where the aircraft will load as you left it last time you leave it on the simulator. Every change in for every change in the settings, then we have to press the save options button here, and in the case of changing one of the panel states, then we have to go here and click the activate state to reload the aircraft in the new state. Move on. We have here the loading. On the left we have our loading options, and on the right we have the CG diagram with a gross weight CG point and the zero fuel weight. And here is the maximum zero weight limit, and here is the maximum gross weight limit. Of course, here you can check if you want to see them from in metric. Now here, to load passengers, we open this one here, and we slide this one here to in the different compartments. The DC3 has 3 compartments, A, B, C, and D. I don't know why they named so. I think A is for the pilots, maybe. I don't remember this, but this is the naming convention. Here you load the passenger you want, and here it has we load the cargo compartments 1 and 2. 1 is here on the left, and 2 is here on the right, and 3 is below the passenger area. You can load them here. As you see, this is the front of the center of the gravity, so the graphic moves forward, and here is the back. Make sure that you check that zero fuel weight does not go over the top. And here we have the fuel loading. We have 4 tanks, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and we use these plus buttons to add how many used gallons we want, or remove from the left side. Each engine can take fuel from any tank. We can feed both engines from the same tank. We can do anything as we want. There is no transfer between the tanks. There is no crossfeed. everything is set, everything is directly fed to the tank we select on the selectors here. And then we have the checklist. Here, for example, under the cockpit, start viewing here the hydraulic fluid, its normal level, and we check here to make sure to check everything down. Landing gear control is neutral. Safety lights lock. Flight controls check. If you've checked before, you can click here to show free of movement. Check. Trim checks. Here is pitch trim, and here are the aileron and rudder trims. Parking brake locked. Battery switch is here. Aircraft, which is the batteries, or the external, which is the GPU. We start now from the battery. Stand on. Of course, we don't see anything of here because here on the top we have the master radio switch. We must turn it on, and then states. Should the radios turn on? We have too much low battery that the power is cut it off. Okay, fuel check. We have here the fuel gauge. Left, let me go to another view here. Give a better look. Left auxiliary, right, left main, etc. And we use this switch here to move between the tanks. Let's go back to normal position. Altimeters set. Altimeters here. We are on Mykonos, and it's 2985. Let's remove this one here. 2985. And for the copilot, if you get the barometric pressure in hectopascals, you have this guide here. You can pop out this window and check what pressure is in inches or vice versa. Set, and when we finish the checklist, shows it is completed. We can reset all checklists here or reset individual checklists from here if you want to redo something, or if we finish our flight and we want to continue to a second flight. So I'll go to the options and connect the GPU. The GPU is now connected. we can see it here, and then go here and take power from the GPU. Radio. I will not follow the checklist, just have it in mind. And now let's check the systems. Now here that the battery is connected now. Check this light here, how is not illuminated so much because the battery is too low. But now you see here the GPU output in amps. Of course the battery now is disconnected, so it's not charging. The autopilot is off because it takes power from the inverter. Let's turn it off. And let's start the engines. So let's go to the engines start checklist. For safety, before engine start maybe. Start safety magnetic. What? For some reason. Release the parking brake. Happened. Anyway, checks are set. It's weird. Anyway, let's start safety and magnetic switches off, seat belts and some smoking on. Park brake is set. Fire and fire main set off valve cover. DI switches are here, these three off. And engine start, fuel tank selector. The fuelless tank on the engine side. So it's the main aux left main here for the left engine. Fire extinguisher valve on the engine side. Master magneto switch. This switch here on. This is a grounding switch for the magnetos. If you have it on both magnetos, in both positions, if you turn this off, both magnetos go to are grounded and lose power. Start safety switch on. Generator on. Mixer control for the left engine cut off. To move the mixer controls here, you must first click here this pad and then move it to the next position, and will latch automatically. here is auto reach, auto lean, and off. Throttle controls, use one here, so use manual, 1/10 open. Throttle control, increase RPM, full forward. Carburetors, here cold, full forward. Cowl flaps here, we have trail or open. We use the trail position, and you see cowl flaps are now open. The trail position is a spring-loaded position to open, and in this position, which is mostly used in DC3s, except if temperatures are too hot and we need more, to cool down the engines more. In this position, as the airspeed increases, the cowl flap starts closing, and around 120 knots, 130 knots are fully closed. Now we have engine start switches, magneto switches, primer switch, and all this will happen in fast succession. So you have to turn the engine start switch on. This switch here is automatically stays on. Normally you should turn it, hold it on the on position, but also you must hold the primer in the on position, which is impossible to do in X-Plane. So we have set an automatic hold it on until the engine starts logic. Then we should turn magnetos both on after the engine completes 1 revolution. Primer switch, energize. Okay, I have it now. We will press the button 7 on the number pad, and American, you see the engine outside. So let's go inside and turn this engine start on. See here the engine starts. A lot of power because we have the GPU both, and now we press the primer and let's view the RPM. It's about 600, auto reach, and now the engine has started. We are in very hot environment, so the engine is hot, it's not cold, so started very fast. If the environment is colder, it's harder to start the engine. So let's go for engine number 2. As you see here, the engine start switch automatically went to off position. Engine rotates, magnetos both, right primer, above 500 RPM. Okay, it was not too fast here, so the engine died out. Let's go again, engine start, primer, above 500, very fast. Okay, engine again died, but because I haven't set the fuel. So I must use the checklist, right? Let's go again. Engine starts, engine rotates, engine primer. Just managed to die again. Both engines start to switch off. So here, let's take the inverter on, radios are on. So we'll warm up the engine about 1000 RPM, 800 to 1000 RPM until the temperature goes to the green area. In the meantime, let's disable the GPU, turn the battery on. Also remove the chocks. Okay, here in this test position on the KT73 transponder, you can use the brightness control here to set the brightness. Show you something. Here we have the now the generators turned on, and let's go back to the idle engine idle position. Throttles to idle, excuse me. Now you see here that the engines are on, but the generators are on, but they not provide power to the electrical system. That's because there's for each generator there's a relay that requires at least 17, I think, volts to pass through to open the relay and enable the generators into the system. Let's see here. Slow turn on the throttle, and now you see that the generators are providing power to the system. Still though, because the power is too low, might not charge the battery yet, so we need full power for the generators, which must be around 1500 RPM, something like that. 15, if I don't remember. Okay, let's move forward now. That's why when I go to idle, you see that the lights go low, and when I throttle forward, the lights come out brighter. Now let's make a small flight plan here on the GPS. Some power. you have any questions about any system, please ask me. There are a lot of stuff in this aircraft, and I don't know where to start from. So everything you see, please ask me if you want me to explain something. Completed. Let's check the weather. It's from 3 degrees 6 knots. So we're gonna taxi down here this way, and then take off north. Although our flight is to the south, and then to the south. Here the 2 DMEs. That's on the local DME here in Mykonos. You see here, this is Mykonos DME. Let's go for taxi. The engines are warm, pressures. I'm not going to do the run-up tests. I'll just skip them. For taxi. Yes. Let's taxi, which is a challenging thing to do in DC3. So below here there's a lot of things. This is the tail wheel lock and lock position. As you see here, this is the unlock position and this is the lock position. And you have this graph here to show you where if the tail wheel is locked in a lock. Now let's taxi from the outside, maybe here a bit more to understand how this aircraft will use the parking brake. Now, the differential braking, as you see, nothing moves. So the tail. Now you see that we are moving. fast because it's very hard to arrest the turn and you end up with it rolling around. Do this here. It's going to happen. Same go fast. It's not easy to. You can check my emails if you observe the rudder how it moves. It takes some speed. See, I'll try to turn up the speed here. It's not easy to control it. You must be very careful with the controls. Okay, let's check the lights here. Running lights on, nav lights on, anti-collision on. Slowly controlling the brakes, our direction. Okay. I did something bad. I said the parking brake and I crashed the aircraft. Oh, wrong button. Okay, let's restart that from the runway this time. They're still doing stupid things. Okay, and let's set our situation after start. Let's activate the state. And now we are ready with the engines running. Of course now we lost our flight plan, but I will put in the first point and then the rest. Let's see here, lights on. Okay, let's go before takeoff, before takeoff checklist. Mixture controls, auto reach, both, throttle control, full increase, boost pump ons, testing them on. Here, hydraulic pressure here, normal. Fuel tank, select or fuel tanks, fuel tank, which is the main tanks. Check. Heading gear control neutral. It's neutral. Wing flap set. So we can use this flap here, this handle here, go up and down, or use the explain commands to set the flaps. There's a indicator here. Also the flaps in this aircraft are down here, so are not visible. That's why I keep this indicator from the classic model here. Flaps control neutral, carburetor on, the pilot off, all trims are 0, car flaps trail, and tail wheel is locked. You know, you can see here, and of course we can go down here and check the position. Of course, if the lever is in the lock position but the aircraft is still turning, the tail wheel will not lock until the tail will come straight with the fuselage. I hope you understand that. But I will show you another time. Just here, bring this up. I will set 8,000 feet, right, go for altitude. Say it's 2985. The autopilot has its own barometric zone barometer. It's not connected to anything, neither the transponder, neither the autopilot. Everything is connected, has its own barometric setting. For the transponder is the typical 2992, does not change, and the altitude reporting happens in this barometric pressure, and the ATC translate that to the local barometric, so you don't have to know anything about this. But here you can change it by pressing the bar button and use these knobs here to change it. If you want to change revert to hectopascals, just press the button for a couple seconds and then you are into hectopascals. It's a bit number here, but so let's set our heading to runway heading here. Let's take off. Okay, takeoff power here. We're gonna use the METO, which is maximum takeoff power 42 inches and 50 RPM. Okay, let me pause for a minute. Okay, let's move on. So 42 is on the top of the scale. This is about 40. it needs about quarter of a second to hold the button to engage. From here we'll set the vertical speed. Also we'll press arm to arm the altitude and flaps up. Now it's heading towards the south to the summer track to the first waypoint. Of course, we must set this to GPS and read the message says 170. We will not automatically set the of course let's automatically set the radial for us the track must go. So we must set it manual 170 here. Too high. These days the oil went off the scale and that is too bad. We might have failed. So we have to move these levers here, which is the oil coolers, and that will cool the oil. So set the autopilot, we're heading and let's set cruise climb. So set 2035 RPM and about 35 inches manifold pressure, which is about here. 120 knots climb is the typical climb airspeed for this aircraft. Yes, of course, this is much more equipped to do whatever flight you want. So yes, of course it's quite more useful model. To our first waypoint and going to normal. this time. The sound more impressive. Okay, now it tells us that we must change to 226, but I will not. I will leave it for now. Let's see what happens if we don't turn if we are not set the HSI in the correct direction. Well, the aircraft will try, because as you see there's a right deviation, to turn right up to a point, but will continue straight about 30 degrees off, and never intercept the next leg. You have to set the HSI to the correct radial, correct track, to be able to follow the guidance from the GPS. Nothing happens automatically here, right? So let's set this to 227. 227 is about here. Now we see that the aircraft will turn to intercept. We have the altitude alert here, because we're 1,000 feet below our target altitude. The GPS is not connected to the autopilot. Drives the HSI, I mean the deviation. You have to do the manual work to set the right course, and the autopilot will follow what the HSI does, what the HSI says. For example, here automatically went to 30 degrees intercept track. Sometimes we'll go to 10 degrees, sometimes we'll go to 45, depends on the angle and how close it's to the station, etc. This happens. This is the autopilot job, but it is your job to set up the HSI in a way that the autopilot must follow the right track. Yes, I know about this. Well, if the HSI is electronic, it's a display. Okay, this has some logic to happen, and the GPS set automatically the correct course to the next waypoint. Here it's mechanical system. Does not make sense to automatically change the there's no way this will happen automatically. Okay, there is some systems that does that automatically, to be honest, but not this. So you have to do some manual work, and what we try to do, yes, but we try to make it modern but not full automatic, so to be engaging, and to make you Yes. Okay, yeah. Exactly. I mean, so we're 8,000 feet. Let's go to the cruise setting, which is 30. Cruise is okay. Manifold pressure. Let's reduce the RPM. 30.5 and 2050. And also now let's go to the auto lean. To reduce our fuel consumption. What else? Okay, I think the cylinder head temperature is a bit too high, so because now we are above 100 knots, 120 knots, cowl flaps are fully closed, so we have to manually open them. Now we have opened them. You can see the hot air coming out of the engines, and the temperature should drop, so also manage the oil temperatures here. Let's finish the flight plan. Let's watch another outside view. Turn on the flight instrument lights. Still day to show, but okay, let me load the approach here, because we're going to shoot our nav approach to Santorini airport. Let's use the have it up here. Remote Victor Sierra Romeo. We have a bit of north, but we're gonna shoot south approach. So 15 from Sushi and out. Okay, this is loaded. A few things about the avionics here. The autopilot is the Beddings KP140. If you go to the online manual, you will find links to download let me reduce the sound here a bit. You can download the original manuals, because everything here is simulated to 95+%. I mean, some very corner cases might not be simulated fully here, but all these avionics are very well simulated. For example, here, so we have the radios. Of course, here you can see here you can change the frequency, but it's not the 8.33 kilohertz. You can, except if you pull out this knob and then you can set the frequency you want. Also, you can use store channels here. If you press this button once, here you can see that we have a few stored frequencies, 7 to be exact, that you can use. Of course, you can store it also. Now I can go to 8, which does not have any frequency, and now set the frequency 131. For example, press this again and press this button, and we're now out of the. Now let's go here and see if we have 8 frequency. Now we have it, and now we can use it. Also here we have the VR2. This is COM2, of course. COM1 is from the GPS. COM2 is from this the KX165A radio. Pull for right end, normal stuff, swap frequencies. Of course, here we have modes. What is this mode? The first mode is an OBS mode. We have set our frequency to Santorini VOR, and we see here that this is the radial now. It's 000 and it's to the right. How can we change this? In this mode, if we pull this out, now we can change. If we not, we just change the frequency directly. If we pull this out, now we can use this knob, the inner knob, and change the OBS, as you see. And we are here in 124, 123 radial. Let's check this here. Is this right? Of course it's right. Of course, if you change the frequency to something that does not exist, you get the flag indication here. If you press again this mode, it gives you directly the radial to the station, and if you press it again, you get the radial from the station. So you can use it. Let's say, do you want to know where are you? Of course you have the instruments, but you can use this as well if you like. And you have a timer here which comes from the start of the flight. Here we have the KT73 TSO transponder. We have off modes, flight ID, I'll show you in a bit, standby, test, and test mode. You can use this knob, which is brightness, to adjust the brightness, ground mode, on mode, flight mode, or on mode with altitude reporting. Now, if we go to standby mode, there is a VFR button. This VFR button from factory is set to 1200. Now, if we want, we can put here whatever frequency we want. How we can do this? For example, you are in VATSIM, IVAO, etc., and you want to have as backup frequency, so you can easily change 2000. We'll go here, set frequency 2000, and hold the VFR button for 2-3 seconds. Nothing happens, nothing shows. Now let's go into normal mode, and let's say that the ATC give us a frequency here, squawk, and now we're out of the area and we must squawk back to the default 2000 frequency. Press VFR, here you are. Now for the rest of the flight until the aircraft shut down or start the flight, the frequency, the squawk now stored is always 2000. Also here the ADFs, okay, have to set 093 in 10 seconds. I will set for now. Something is wrong here. Oh, damn it. It's during the turn. Okay. Now let's show up a bit. It's getting dark. Of course, this on off here, ADF in for ADF, out for antenna, frequency swap, and of course also the same here, pull out the knob to change the last digit, and also we have here flight timer and elapsed timer. And if we press here, we go out back to frequency swapping. And we must be, let's manage our descent now. We must be at 3,500 at exhaustion. And profile, let's say 600. 3 minutes. Okay. Approach. Let's activate approach. It's getting dark over the Aegean. And it's too hot. 50 degrees Celsius at 8,000 feet. Nice. Of course, here are the radios for the classic aircraft, which of course now just some covers to cover the holes. Temperature are too low. Let's go back to trail. And also get some extra speed now with cal flaps close. Here are the two beddings, KDI something, I don't remember exactly the model, DM indicators for position off, N1 for the number one VOR station, controlled by the GPS unit. Hold is a memory position that when you go from number one to hold, stores the value of the number one VOR. For example, if I now I have changed the VOR it's not the Mykonos VR, which is the 110.00. This is the Milos VR, which is behind us, number one here, but still show me the distance to the Mykonos VR. So if you go here back to N1 now, you will see the distance to Milos VR, which is 20 miles behind us, just past it. This goes wrong. Never mind. Going to descend now. So to descend, let's set a lower altitude and press Alt, and then use down and up buttons to control your vertical speed. I'm going to use a bit more now because I forgot to start our descent. So for descent, 28 inches and 2050 RPM, but I will reduce it a bit more. Because we're very close, just 17 miles, and must lose a lot of altitude. Down here is Santorini, and this is the volcano here in the middle. There's some tourist information, if you like. So we're in the descent, a big one, 1000 feet per minute. Let's check. Now the auxiliary tanks have more fuel, so we'll switch to them just before the approach. And yeah, wipers. Let's use some dome lights here to see what we're doing here. So wipers are controlled by two knobs here, but there is no you just open them a bit and go slowly up a bit more, and go faster and faster and faster and faster. And when you close it, just stop. There's no parking position here, nothing to park. If you want out of the way, just open it a bit, and when it's the position, you just stop it somewhere there that does not mess with your view. We are closing 11, and we have another 3,000 feet to go. Must be 3,500 to be exactly. And we'll start then our nav approach to Santorini, and then try to land the aircraft with a bit of tailwind, because it's dangerous, of course. 31 at 5, okay, 5 knots, not much. I can do it. Dome lights here, there's these two red things up here. Putting some light here, down. Use this knob to adjust the brightness, and this to turn on. Okay. Of course, let's go back to the cabin, which is a bit dark here, I think. So let's turn the cabin lights on. Let's go back to the cabin, and we have some more lights here. On the other side, cool. Now, do we need more light? Of course we have. Seat has its own light. Let's control the aircraft for a bit. So we are closing to 3,500 feet. And now you must have in mind our airspeed. We capture the altitude. Wait a minute, that's 85. Okay, we have the correct altimeter setting. And now we're slowing down. We want to slow down. Maybe around 140 knots. And of course we have a checklist here before landing. Fuel tank to the fullest, not much flight here, so we need to go to the dome light, which is the auxiliary left and auxiliary right. Mixer control auto reach now. Boost pumps now come on. Okay, now we must go to 54. Let's go 154 around here, and now we'll press the approach button. And we have approach here that indicates that we capturing the lateral guidance, and GS that we're in GSR mode. The GS will go up here to the alt once we capture the glide path. Car flaps closed. I will leave it as is. Proper controls. Now we're going to set the RPM to the climb value to 3.5. That will of course reduce our speed a bit. And so we might put a bit of throttle in. Carburetor's cold. Okay, let's go for landing glide from landing down, extending. Let's check the airspeed. Now we're on glide slope, we are descending. Landing gear full extended, controls neutral. Move this to the middle. And then we move this down and then lock it. Positive lock. With flaps and approach 100 miles per hour, which is about 90 knots. So here's some limitations. cannot extend the flaps or move the flaps above 90, extend the flaps above 97 knots. Of course, there's a bit of leeway in this, but we must try to keep this within the limits, because otherwise the flaps will go to fail and we have no indication what will happen. Keep about 100 knots here, so the flaps half, 100 knots, stable descent, everything looks good. And need much of floodlights here. Engine instruments lights, oils a bit high, but everything else is normal. Let's go for 3/4 flaps. And of course we must have in mind the airspeed. Airspeed is good for now. Check what the cabin is doing. Everything's here. Hope everyone is in a position and no one is in the lavatory, right? Let's check this. No one, okay. Let's go back because we have a brush to finish. Now, I will land with 3/4 big runway, relative big runway here. Reduce the speed a bit to 90 knots. Now for the final approach, we'll go full forward. And keep the 9 knots. Full forward the props and keep the 90 knots airspeed here. Of course, we're not going to do any auto landing, so let's go back to manual control. Autopilot off. Manual control. Things we must know is try to touch down with the front wheels and try to keep a horizontal attitude until we bleed off a lot of speed, because we need the tail to be up in the air to provide us directional control and not be shadowed by the fuselage. Okay, looking good. Airspeed is good. Looking good. Let's have a bit of air behind us, but everything is look good. Above the runway, reduce the power a bit. Reduce power a bit. Smooth touching. keep the nose down and reduce the power slowly, and push forward, push forward, push forward, and drive the tail to the ground slowly, 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 slowly. And we have landed successfully. Oh, that was cool. Tail wheel unlock, and let's taxi to the apron slowly. Flaps up, slowly on the turns, now we are taxiing straight ahead. We can lock the tail wheel. It's a good practice if you're going to taxi for a long way. It's better to lock the tail wheel. It elevates a bit of the effort. To taxi. Brake set, it will lock, and let's set the chocks as well. And here we are. We'll stop here and we'll finish the stream here. You can find us at the Discord if you want. Any questions, and probably I might do another one these days, another stream these days, if you like it. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you again. Bye bye.